It doesn't even matter if you don't have a diagnosis. 100%. I know what's feeding this. I know how to teach you what's feeding this, and I know how to help you stop feeding it. Mistake number 3 that people make, I call this the who's on first. You know the who's on first joke, it's like a circular joke that goes back and forth and back and forth. Unfortunately, the hunt for more diagnosis to me that people do is like who's on first because it's useless, fruitless, repetitive. And here's what I have found. I have found that many people spend decades, hundreds of thousands of dollars, tons of medical visits, travel to medical clinics to get a diagnosis. And I get that. I get wanting to know the diagnosis. But you know what is interesting? So many people, even after they find one diagnosis, right? This is the part that kills me. But I get it, where they have Hashimoto's and then they have joint pain and they have nerve pain, or they faint. And then they start looking for the more and more diagnosis. I need to find out what the diagnosis is. Well, here's the thing, if you already know you have autoimmune disease, okay, you let's say you already have a diagnosis or you have a strong family history of it, or you know your symptoms are autoimmune, chasing for a diagnosis is a really time consuming, costly, and really costly mistake for your health. And the reason is this, is that for me, it sounds out of the box because it is. I don't care what your diagnosis is. I care what's feeding it, stopping what's feeding it and ending it. And the problem is a lot of people get into diagnostic hell and they don't go into stopping that pattern and killing Godzilla while he's an egg. It takes the years away from actually killing Godzilla while he's an egg. So meanwhile, you're like, I have people like so many people who join our program don't even have a diagnosis, right? And 20, 30 years they've been dealing with symptoms. So I'm going to ask you guys, how many years have you spent looking for a diagnosis? How many doctors have you seen? So understand why there's a hunt for diagnosis. And while I could go into this really in a lot of depth, I don't know if we want to go that deep. But here's the thing, okay? Diagnosis is hell in the sense that we can only diagnose probably less than 5% of autoimmune diseases out there. Yeah. And I use this example a lot. In your thyroid, there's 6,000 targets of autoimmune attack. How many of those 6,000 targets do we have a blood test for that shows, yeah, you have an autoimmune disease? Three, three out of 6,000. So then the other 5,997 targets, we don't have a blood test. Does that mean that those people don't have autoimmune thyroid? No, but they're told the testing is negative, that they're lucky to get it. But yet they walk around, I know I have low thyroid. I have every symptom of this. My hair is falling out. I'm tired. I'm going bald, all this stuff. And it's like, I already know this person's autoimmune. And it's like, oh, yeah, my mom has autoimmune disease with Hashimoto's. Oh, yeah, I have diabetes too. I'm like, what the heck are you waiting for? It's obvious that this is an autoimmune issue, and our diagnostics are decades behind on where it needs to be. But there are so many things, like you already know you have an autoimmune disease. Stop hunting for multiple other diagnoses. You could spend some time with it, but don't let it hold up your ability to get help to interrupt what's feeding autoimmune disease. So Jennifer just said, diagnosis doesn't solve it, unfortunately. Yeah, diagnosis is just putting a name on it, right? And I get that from a conventional doctor standpoint, right? From a conventional doctor standpoint, they really want the diagnosis. And you want to know why? Without the diagnosis, they can't prescribe the medication that you need, right? So that's what justifies the medication or the surgery. So they need to get the diagnosis, right? And another alumni, Kelly, just says a diagnosis doesn't even help. It just gives you a med or thank you. It just gives you a med or surgery, but doesn't fix the cause. Root cause is key. If you take away nothing else, I want you to really think about that, which is if you're on the hunt for adding more diagnosis to your myriad of mystery symptoms, stop it. Just stop it. Okay. Because you need to just stop feeding this, putting kerosene on this fire. Okay. Don't stop, keep looking for naming for multiple fires. Stop the kerosene. So that's going to be something really important to think about. And that's why for me, when I talk to people, people all ask me all the time, I have this diagnosis, I'm this super special rare zebra, can you help me? And the answer is, it doesn't even matter if you don't have a diagnosis. 100%. I know what's feeding this. I know how to teach you what's feeding this, and I know how to help you stop feeding it. Isn't that the most important thing? Don't you just want to stop this hell? Because I actually tell people, on your watch, my watch, I hope you never get a diagnosis. That brings me zero joy, zero clarity. I'm more interested in, hey, let's stop it so that we don't get the diagnosis and you don't even need that medication. That's what I'm more interested in, right? So do naturally that's going to happen, but don't spend all your time there. Go there, but don't stay there in diagnosis hell. Focus your attention on what is the intervention I need to do to stop feeding this hell. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, great. Someone just said, I've seen so many doctors looking for a diagnosis at least 10 years. Oh, thanks to this program, I realized I didn't need a diagnosis. You're welcome. Started working with Maggie on healing the root cause, feeling so much better. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Um, I thank you for all these comments. And if you are looking for a diagnosis and you have just a myriad of symptoms, type your symptoms in. I'd love to know what those symptoms are. Because I could tell you right now, I mean, I could literally we could make this even a game at some point where somebody says, gives me the mystery case, gives me all the diagnosis or all the symptoms they're dealing with, and I can tell you exactly what's feeding everything and how it's all linked with autoimmunity. That's just what I do every single day. But that's my superpower is I see patterns where other people don't. So just letting you know is if you already know you got autoimmune disease, that's a pattern. You're done. Come on, go focus on ending the root cause. If you're interested in working with me or learning more about autoimmunity, we have tons of video trainings and case studies to share with you, no matter what the diagnosis or lack of diagnosis there is. So we would love to share the wealth and share all the trainings and information that I've taught. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. Thank you.